Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde. Merci d'être avec nous aujourd'hui. Thank you so much for being with us here today. We're in Norman Jewison Park here in Toronto Centre. A lot of construction going on around us. Nous sommes ici aujourd'hui pour parler de l'Afghanistan et le rôle du Canada au monde. We're here today to speak about Afghanistan and Canada's role in the world. First, regarding Afghanistan, it's no secret, and I've been speaking about this quite a lot, the Green Party is extremely disappointed by Mr. Trudeau and his Liberal colleagues and their response. Despite what they have been saying, there is no doubt that we knew enough to know that we needed to respond faster than we did, and because of what we did not do, that many Canadian citizens and their families and Afghan support staff that could otherwise have gotten out of the country are now trapped in the country, with advice from our own global affairs that they should hide in place, seek a safe hiding place until we can figure out a plan. Anyone who has ever experienced a moment of physical insecurity can only imagine what our Canadian citizens who are trapped in Afghanistan must be feeling like today and yesterday and tomorrow, with no prospects of being rescued anytime soon. And for those of us who have friends and colleagues and people that we care about in Afghanistan, please understand that this is not over, that the terror is real, that the concern about whether our colleagues, our friends, our family will see the light of day is real. And so this is a moment where Mr. Trudeau and his ministers, instead of being out on the campaign trail, should be doing what people in Canada should be expecting them to do, which is coming up with a credible plan about how we can get those thousands of citizens and Afghan support staff who supported us out from Afghanistan. Immediately after this press conference, I will be joining Canadian Campaign for Afghan Peace in their vigil. They are asking and pleading with us not to forget, not to forget. Please don't forget. Please remember that these are our neighbors. These are our friends. These are Canadians who need a rescue plan. And please don't forget those who fought with us, who served with us, who helped us, who protected us, who saved Canadian lives, and who, because of the inaction of the government of the day, are now left trapped and need our help. And alors, il faut faire notre mieux de sauver nos citoyens et citoyennes. Il faut faire notre mieux d'assurer que toutes les personnes qui ont protégé, servi avec les membres de notre corps militaire, les membres de notre corps diplomatique soient sauvés. Il ne faut pas jamais oublier. On sait qu'on aurait fait mieux, on aurait à faire plus et on l'a pas fait. Et maintenant, c'est le moment d'insister sur un plan crédible, un plan efficace et rapide pour sauver nos Canadiens et Canadiennes qui restent là dans des circonstances énormément dangereuses en Afghanistan. And this really reminds us of Canada and its role, and how our role in the world, how our global reputation has suffered tremendously over the last number of years. I'm a former diplomat. I've worked at the International Court. I've worked as a diplomat for our country. I've worked as a director in a leading conflict prevention organization focused on protecting civilians in deadly conflict. So trust me when I tell you that Canada and our reputation is suffering every single day that we leave people behind. And our reputation is suffering every time our international partners ask us for a certain kind of support and we don't show up. And this includes things like COVAX. We were asked by the World Health Organization to provide vaccines to that facility to help get low-income countries vaccinated. Our response was to take vaccines from COVAX. We were asked to join the growing global consensus that vaccine patents should be suspended so that low-income countries could catch up in vaccination. Our response, we don't know the response. Our government still has not committed to, the Liberal government rather, still has not committed to that. We were asked by the Uyghur to please help to draw international attention to the genocide that is being perpetrated and not to further legitimize the actions of the Chinese government by participating in the 2022 Olympics in Beijing. Our response, we still don't know the response. There has been no commitment to recognize that genocide, and there's been no commitment not to participate in those Olympics. And we have been asked for years, for decades, to do our fair share on the climate, to do our fair share to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to do our fair share to recognize that countries that had the least to do with creating this emergency are the ones who are being the most impacted by it. Our response for the last 6 years has been to increase greenhouse gas emissions, to remain one of the worst emitters per capita of greenhouse gas emissions in the world, and to continue to build pipelines, to green light oil and gas exploration projects, to frack gas, and to subsidize the fossil fuel sector. And so a country like ours is only as good as their word. And as a former diplomat, I say that our word has to be our bond, and people around the world must be able to count on it. Si on veut prendre une place de leadership global sur les enjeux les plus importants, il faut le mériter. Et on le mérite par reconnaître et respecter nos engagements. On voit dans le cas de COVAX, dans le cas des Uyghurs, dans le cas des vaccins, dans le cas du climat, on n'a pas fait. And so a green government will pursue a foreign policy that is centered on the promotion of human security, of respect for the rule of law, and respect for the rule of law by in its dealings with state and non-state actors. We will pursue a policy of respect for international law that is centered around demonstrating our commitment to it. We will pursue a an international fair trade policy. This includes shifting away from free trade to fair trade and engaging with countries that are committed not to making a profit and not to having economic prosperity on the backs of the least fortunate. We will cease to support Canadian exporters of arms and fossil fuels, with the exception of those engagements related to our peacekeeping in the case of arms. And we will ensure that Canada reorients itself towards peacekeeping in a way that we promised to do so many years ago, and that our defense policy will be focused on the pursuit of disarmament, a focus on disaster relief, on protecting our Arctic as well, and respecting the Geneva Conventions. Alors, au centre de notre politique d'affaires internationales va être un respect pour le droit international, un respect pour l'échange, pas uniquement libre, mais un échange équitable avec les autres pays, d'arrêter de subventionner l'exportation des armes, l'exportation des produits pétroliers, de respecter l'importance des objectifs de développement durable, et aussi une politique de défense qui est ciblée sur la protection de notre Nord, sur un engagement avec les missions de paix et sur une préparation pour les désastres climatiques et autres qu'on voit en ce moment, et aussi l'abolition des armes nucléaires. Canada, under a green government and with more Greens in Parliament, will be one that signs and ratifies the treaty to abolish nuclear weapons, one that so many other countries have signed and Canada continues to hesitate to sign. In doing these things, we will assure that Canada has a voice at the table, that Canada is considered an honest broker, and more than anything, that when we give our word, we will keep it. For Canada, this is incredibly important. It's time to rebuild that trust, and it begins with this election. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. I believe we have there are no questions on the ground, so we will go straight to Zoom. Il n'y a pas de questions sur place, alors on va commencer avec les questions sur Zoom. We have David Thurton, who has a question. David, please go ahead. One question, one follow-up. Thank you.
Hi, Madam Paul. It's very good to see you today. Toronto's looking good.
Yes.
Nice, nice. So I have two questions. Both are different. I'll just ask you this one first. You know, I was just on Twitter and I saw that the Green Party of BC's former leader, Andrew Weaver, is basically endorsing the Liberal climate plan, calling it bold. I'm wondering what you think about this, and of all the climate plans that you've seen from the parties, the NDP, the Conservatives, and of course the Liberals, how credible do you think the Liberal plan is?
I can't speak to the tweet. I haven't seen it. I've been involved with meetings all day. What I will say is that there is one party in this instance, and David, you know our party well. When our party underlines a difference, we really mean it, and we do it reluctantly, and we also do it with the hope that it won't be a difference for very long. But when it comes to the climate, the differences could not be clearer, and voters in Canada have a very real and important choice to make as soon as possible about what direction we want to head in. The Liberal plan, by the admission and the recognition of the government, our own civil service. Even if we were to implement every single element of the Liberal plan, we would not even meet the more modest targets that the Liberal government had set for itself. This is not the new target of 40% plus, but rather the 30% target. The fact of the matter is that you cannot continue to build new pipelines like TMX, support other pipeline projects like Coastal GasLink, green light, project after project for new oil and gas exploration, continue to support fracking of gas in this country, and continue to support the fossil fuel industry to the tune of billions of dollars, and hope to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And so we've called it smoke and mirrors before, and it is. If the Liberals are serious about climate action, we are ready to work with them. But I'll tell the people of Canada that if you want a real plan, one that is going to grow our economy, that is going to put us at the front of the competitive green economy of the future, help us to join the green rush, then the only option in this election for you is the Liberals. And you can count on us to work cooperatively and collaboratively with every party on that. But right now, we're the only ones with a plan that will make a difference and that will help us limit our greenhouse gas emissions.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. David, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, so this is on a completely different topic. Last night's debate, you had your all candidates debate last night in Toronto Centre. So I'm wondering how you think you did. What are your thoughts about not being included in tonight's debate, the TVA debate? And sorry, I'm packing a lot in here. And what opportunity, you will be in next week's debate. What opportunity do you think being on the national stage will provide for you to get your message out in a campaign that hasn't gotten a lot of media coverage?
Oh, well, first, I'll push back on that. I mean, I'm grateful to and see the cameras here every day. You know, when your cousin calls you up and says, "Hey, I saw you on TV in the dentist's office," and another cousin calls you up and says, "Hey, I saw you in the elevator in my building," then you have to feel satisfied. And I'm grateful for the coverage that we've received. In terms of last night, I should ask you how I did, I did the debate. It was a pleasure to be part of it. I appreciated the opportunity to speak with particularly our young people and our students here in Toronto Centre, to offer them the opportunity for real representation here in a community that desperately needs it and has not had it for a long time. I'm disappointed not to be included in the TVA debate. That's their prerogative. In terms of the debate next week, I think that, as always, if it is done well and if it is done with respect, and if we can try to demonstrate that we are there to provide an opportunity for people in Canada to learn about their options, then we will have a debate that is edifying. We will have a debate that gives people the opportunity to get to know us better. And David, I'm very excited about that, because I believe that the more people in Canada get to know the Greens and our policies, particularly on the climate at this time, but also our progressive social policies, the more they'll understand that every Green that gets elected is a hard worker, a champion for their community, and someone that will show up every day ready to work with Parliament and with the other parties to get people in Canada the help that they need and real climate action.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. Thank you, David. Janet Silva from iPolitics would like to ask a question. Go ahead, Janet. One question, one follow-up, please.
Hello, Janet.
Hi. Thank you, Ms. May, for taking our questions. We're hearing that you will be heading east to the Maritimes. It's the only area outside of the Toronto core at this point that we're hearing that you're going to. When do you plan to go, and what will your message be?
Well, I'm heading to Quebec for the debates, so that one you can definitely put in the books. And certainly, as I've said, that even though I'm spending the bulk of the campaign here in Toronto, I'm looking for any opportunities that I can to support our candidates elsewhere. We have extraordinary candidates running for us in New Brunswick. We have extraordinary candidates running for us in other Atlantic provinces. We're certainly looking keenly at what's happening in Malpeque, and we're looking very keenly at what's happening in Fredericton. We'd love those to be Green seats so that those communities can be represented by strong Green MPs. So we'll definitely keep you posted. We're considering all of the options, and there's still, again, a significant amount of the campaign left. And frankly, again, people are focused on other things right now. If I'm going to travel judiciously without a big carbon footprint, then it's something that makes sense to do a little bit later on. And so that's what we're looking at.
Thank you. Do you have a follow-up, Janet?
Yes, I do. And it's a slightly different topic. You're today speaking about Afghanistan. It's not the first time you've talked about Afghanistan in this campaign. Meanwhile, the Green Party in British Columbia, the Green Party of Canada and British Columbia, today has put out a press release, and they're talking about Code Red, given the number of climate issues that are facing Canada and the world, particularly today, where you've got flooding in New York, hurricane in New Orleans. I'm wondering why that wouldn't be your message today to highlight the emergency Code Red coming out of your party from British Columbia?
Well, first, the Green Party of British Columbia, as all provincial parties are different parties. There are cousins, but unlike the NDP and the other parties, they're separate. And so their messaging, of course, we support it. And I'm so happy to hear that they're talking about Code Red today. Look, every day is a day for me to talk about the climate. When I talk about foreign policy, first, I will continue to talk about Afghanistan. I will never accept that people in Canada want to see anyone who is representing them and speaking on their behalf turning their back and abandoning other Canadians and those who helped us in their greatest hour of need. I will always talk about it. I have no regrets. I notice that the other parties are not talking about it, and that is extremely troubling for me. As I said, if Canada wants to be a global leader on issues like the climate, then we have to earn it. We have to fulfill our commitments. We have never hit one of our targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. We continue to be one of the worst emitters per capita amongst wealthy nations. We continue to bring new fossil fuel projects online. And so this is all about the climate. This is all about an international issue, a global challenge that needs global solutions and global cooperation. If we have a government in Canada that is not demonstrating that it is a fair dealer and that it is ready to do its fair share globally on the climate, then we will never succeed, even if we do everything that we have promised to do. And so please remember that everything is interconnected. Canada's international reputation has a direct impact on whether Canada can fulfill its greenhouse promises and whether we can have a livable planet.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. Thank you, Janet. Are there any other questions online? Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions, s'il vous plaît, sur Zoom? Vous pouvez utiliser la fonction lever la main si vous avez une question. You can use the raise hand feature if you would like to ask a question. No, no more questions, Ms. Paul. Pas de questions. Merci. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Merci tout le monde.